Welcome to week 2 of Rebuild Mark. I'm Mark Still. It has been a busy week. The weather's been terrible here in Colorado. It's a beautiful sunny day today, but it snowed all week. It's cold. It's still cold today. I'm not in the garage. I'm here in my kitchen. Coffee and bikes go together, so I thought we'd have some coffee, talk about what week 2 was like, what's coming up next week, because I only have 10 weeks to go until Unbound. How about some coffee? So last week I mentioned that I had reached out to Coach Kristen Legan about being my coach, my first ever cycling coach. Thankfully, she agreed to take me on as a client. So got workouts scheduled this week. I did 2 of the workouts. Only got 4 rides in this week. All 4 of them were inside on the trainer. 2 of those were part of the workout plan that Kristen put together so far for me. One benefit of being on the trainer was I got to tweak a little bit more saddle placement and just think more about the fit. I'm really happy to say that I'm not having any of the neck and shoulder issues so far that I had last year. It's hard to tell on the trainer, but generally it's going to be worse on the trainer. My hands will be more numb on a trainer. My back and neck will hurt more on a trainer. I think a lot of that's because there's no movement on the trainer and you're just sitting and leaning on things, whereas outside the bike moves around. But all that did caused me to notice an interesting phenomenon with the rear future shock. So it turns out that that feeling of being locked in place, which makes the trainer so uncomfortable, when the future shocks turn loose and moving, it actually helps that a lot. I can't imagine that the specialized engineers were thinking, let's make a bike that makes riding trainers more fun. But, a lot of people will come up with all sorts of things to get their trainer to have some kind of movement in it so that it's a little more natural. The future shock in the rear just does that. I did an hour and a half on the trainer this morning. I don't think I've ever done an hour and a half on a stationary trainer, and I'm not saying it was wonderful, but it was a whole lot better because of that movement. It just gives it that little bit of rhythm to it that you would naturally have outside. I was really surprised and shocked and pretty pleased about that. The reason I turned the future shock on in the first place, because when I first put the bike in the trainer, I had it locked out because I'm on the trainer. I'm not on rough roads. I wouldn't need that. Was I'd read or seen some videos where people said Specialized suggests that the saddle is tilted a little bit down, about a degree down, to start in the locked out position, because when it's unlocked, when the future shock moves, it doesn't move up and down directly. It moves in a bit of an arc back and forth. And that causes the nose of the saddle to come up. I thought that was a bit odd. I have not felt anything that felt like the nose of the saddle putting pressure in places that it shouldn't when I've been riding outside. I think the reason is it's not that when the thing moves, the tip of the saddle just kind of bumps into you. Everything moves together. So I don't really get that. And I cannot stand having the nose of a saddle tilted down on the bike. I haven't done that. I've kept my saddle level. Depending on the curve of the saddle, I'm still tweaking that a little bit. And I haven't had any issue as it goes back and forth with it causing any kind of discomfort. So I don't think I buy into that. But that's why I had it unlocked in the first place, and subsequently noticed an amazing side benefit of the rear future shock is that it makes riding the trainer much more rhythmic and much more enjoyable. This week was a lot of time on the trainer and longer sessions and harder sessions than I've been doing. And it's got me thinking about nutrition more. So what's it going to be like to fuel for these longer workouts that are more difficult that Coach Kristen has queued up for me next week? And by the way, next week I get to do a functional threshold test, which I haven't done since 2005 or 6 or 7, somewhere in there. So I guess I'm looking forward to that. But what do I need to do to fuel for that? And how do I start getting myself ready for a long day, typically in very hot conditions where I've got to consume a lot of calories? You don't just start doing that. Your body needs to get used to it. So starting to look into that, how do I want to consume the calories, all liquids, a mixture with real food or solid food? It's hard during the day to eat like that, but starting to work those things out. Next week is a heavy week of getting more acclimated, being back on the bike, increasingly difficult workouts from Coach Kristen. And hopefully that functional threshold test isn't something that just makes me sad, because I really don't feel like I have a ton of power right now. That's what I'm going to work on next week, is nutrition, and keep the workouts going and keep building up to bigger and bigger workouts. And then hopefully sometime early in April, we'll start doing some race simulation type days, 4, 5, 6 hours in the saddle. I'm looking forward to it. So far, so good. The coach thing, I think that's going to be good for me. If you listened last year, if you know me over the years, structured training's not my thing, but I didn't do a real good job last year getting ready. So I think I'm going to appreciate having somebody there, little oversight, pushing me a little more than I might push myself. And hopefully it makes a difference come 10 weeks time in June. And remember, this is a group project, so follow along. If you're trying to get back to fitness, let me help. Reach out. Let's talk about what you're going through, the steps you're taking to get fit again. Follow me on Strava at Uphill Still. You can check out all of the Rebuild Mark videos and content at slowguyonthefastride.com or on YouTube at Slow Guy on the Fast Ride. And we'll see you next week.